Hello, Muslim friends of the world. The dusty streets of Al-Mahwa, a small village in Yemen, seem frozen in time. Clay houses stood resilient against the scorching desert sun, and the gentle breeze carried the call to prayer from the village mosque, creating an atmosphere of serenity. However, for Alex Carter, a CIA agent disguised as a journalist, this tranquility only heightened his suspicion. His mission was clear: infiltrate the village, gain the trust of Sheikh Yusuf, and uncover evidence linking the community to a terrorist network operating in the region. According to intelligence reports, Sheikh Yusuf, the village leader and an influential Islamic scholar, was suspected of funding extremist groups under the guise of humanitarian aid. Alex arrived in the village with a backpack, a camera, and a carefully rehearsed cover story. As he stepped out of the jeep that had brought him from the nearby city, he was greeted by a group of curious villagers. Their faces reflected a mix of caution and hospitality. A middle-aged man approached him, smiling warmly. "You must be the journalist we've been expecting. Welcome to Al-Mahwa. I am Ahmed. Sheikh Yusuf asked me to assist you during your stay." Alex extended his hand, offering a polite smile. "Thank you, Ahmed. I've heard so much about this village. I'm looking forward to learning more about your community." Ahmed nodded and led Alex to a small but tidy guest house. Along the way, Alex took note of the villagers' activities: children playing in the dusty alleys, women carrying water jars, and men tending to livestock. Everything seemed ordinary, but Alex's training told him that appearances could be deceiving. That evening, Alex met Sheikh Yusuf at the mosque after the evening prayer. The sheikh was a man in his late 60s, with a white beard and eyes that radiated wisdom and kindness. He greeted Alex with a firm handshake. "Welcome to our humble village, Mr. Alex. Ahmed told me about your work as a journalist. What brings you all the way to Al-Mahwa?" Alex chose his words carefully. "I'm working on a story about small communities in Yemen and how they maintain peace and unity despite the challenges they face. I've heard that your village is a model of harmony, so I wanted to learn more about it." Sheikh Yusuf smiled, his expression calm. "It is true that we strive for peace here, but it is not without challenges. You are welcome to stay and see for yourself. Our doors are open to those who come with good intentions." Alex nodded, masking his inner conflict. If only he knew why I'm really here. Over the next few days, Alex observed the village closely. He attended community gatherings, interviewed villagers, and documented their daily lives. Despite his mission, he couldn't help but admire the simplicity and sincerity of their way of life. But Alex's primary focus remained on Sheikh Yusuf. He spent hours poring over documents in the Sheikh's study, looking for any signs of financial transactions that might indicate ties to terrorist groups. So far, he had found nothing incriminating. One night, while searching through the Sheikh's desk, Alex discovered a handwritten letter. The words sent a chill down his spine. "If you do not comply, we will come for your village. This is your final warning." Alex's mind raced. Who sent this letter? Was Sheikh Yusuf involved in something darker, or was the village itself a target? Alex lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling of his guest house. The villagers he had met didn't fit the profile of extremists. They were farmers, merchants, and teachers, ordinary people trying to survive in a harsh world. Yet the letter suggested something sinister was at play. Could Sheikh Yusuf be hiding something, or was the village being unjustly targeted? For the first time in his career, Alex felt a flicker of doubt. His training had taught him to rely on facts, but here in Al-Mahwa, the line between truth and perception was becoming increasingly blurred. The following day, Alex decided to confront Sheikh Yusuf indirectly. During their conversation, he asked, "Sheikh, have you ever faced threats to your village's safety? Yemen can be a dangerous place." Sheikh Yusuf's expression darkened for a moment before he replied, "Danger is everywhere, Mr. Alex. But we believe in responding to hatred with compassion and to violence with peace. It is not an easy path, but it is the one we choose to walk." Alex couldn't help but be moved by the Sheikh's words. Could it be that this man, whom I was sent to investigate, is actually a victim rather than a perpetrator? As Alex walked away, he realized that his mission was no longer as clear-cut as it had seemed. The village of Al-Mahwa was not just another assignment, it was a puzzle that would challenge everything he thought he knew. The first rays of sunlight bathed the village of Al-Mahwa in a warm golden glow. The peaceful scene was interrupted by the hum of activity as the villagers went about their daily routines. Yet for Alex, the serene atmosphere only deepened the turmoil within him. The mysterious letter he had found in Sheikh Yusuf's desk haunted his thoughts. Who had sent the letter? And why? The more time Alex spent in the village, the more he realized that the people here were not the terrorists his CIA handlers had painted them to be. But if they weren't the threat, who was? Over breakfast, Alex sat with Ahmed, who had become his unofficial guide and friend in the village. The older man's cheerful demeanor made Alex feel almost guilty for the secret he was keeping. Ahmed, Alex began cautiously, has this village ever faced threats from outside forces? Ahmed's smile faded, replaced by a somber expression. There have been incidents. Groups from outside the village sometimes try to intimidate us. They want us to join their cause, but Sheikh Yusuf always refuses. What cause? Alex pressed. Ahmed looked around as if ensuring no one was listening. Then, in a hushed voice, he said, "Extremists. They demand loyalty and obedience. But we are a village of peace. We refuse to be a part of their violence." Alex felt a pang of unease. The letter he found now made sense. Sheikh Yusuf's refusal to cooperate with these groups had put the entire village at risk. Later that morning, Alex decided to clear his mind by exploring the village. He found himself drawn to a group of children playing near the mosque. Their laughter was infectious, and for a moment, Alex felt a sense of normalcy he hadn't experienced in years. A little girl approached him, holding out a small clay pot. "For you," she said shyly. Alex smiled, taking the pot. "Thank you. What's this for?" The girl giggled. "It's for making dua, prayers. You put water in it and pray for rain." Her innocence and kindness caught Alex off guard. He couldn't help but wonder, how could anyone see these people as a threat? That evening, Alex joined Sheikh Yusuf for tea in the mosque's courtyard. The sheikh had a calming presence, and Alex found himself opening up in ways he hadn't expected. "Sheikh," Alex began hesitantly, "I found a letter in your desk. It seemed threatening." Sheikh Yusuf set down his cup, his expression unreadable. "Ah, so you've seen it. Who sent it? And why?" Alex asked. The sheikh sighed deeply. "There are groups who see our village as an obstacle. They believe that because we refuse to join their cause, we are their enemies. But we will not compromise our values. Violence cannot be the answer to violence." Alex leaned forward. "But don't you fear for the safety of the villagers? They trust you to protect them." "I fear only Allah," the sheikh replied calmly, "and I trust that he will guide us." "Alex, the greatest test of faith is standing firm in the face of fear. If we give in, what kind of example will we set for the next generation?" Alex was struck by the sheikh's conviction. It was a perspective so different from the cynical, self-serving world he knew. The peaceful night was shattered by the distant roar of engines. Alex rushed out of his guest house to see a convoy of trucks approaching the village. Men armed with rifles disembarked, their faces masked. The villagers quickly gathered, fear evident in their eyes. Sheikh Yusuf stood at the forefront, his calm demeanor unshaken. The leader of the group, a burly man with a scar across his cheek, stepped forward. "Sheikh Yusuf," he barked, "this is your last chance. Join us or face the consequences." The sheikh met the man's gaze without flinching. "We are not your enemies. Leave this village in peace." The man laughed darkly. "Peace? There's no peace in this world, old man. Only power. And if you won't stand with us, then you're against us." Alex watched from the shadows, his heart pounding. His instincts told him to act, but he knew he couldn't blow his cover. Instead, he began recording the confrontation with a hidden camera, hoping the footage would serve as evidence to protect the village. The standoff ended without bloodshed, but the tension lingered long after the armed men left. Alex approached Sheikh Yusuf as the villagers began to disperse. "Sheikh, they'll be back, and next time, they might not leave so easily." Sheikh Yusuf nodded. "I know, but we cannot meet violence with violence. That is not our way." Alex felt a surge of frustration. "But you can't just stand by and let them destroy everything." The sheikh placed a hand on Alex's shoulder. "Patience, my friend. True strength lies not in weapons but in faith. Trust me, there is a plan greater than what we can see." Alex didn't know what to say. For the first time in his life, he felt powerless. Not because of a lack of resources or training, but because he was beginning to question everything he had been taught. That night, Alex sat alone under the vast Yemeni sky. The stars above seemed endless, and for a moment, he felt like a tiny speck in the grand scheme of the universe. He thought about his mission, about the Sheikh's unwavering faith, and about the villagers who continued to live their lives with courage and dignity despite the threats they faced. Alex pulled out his laptop and opened a blank document. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. He was supposed to write a report incriminating Sheikh Yusuf, but how could he when the man was clearly innocent? For the first time in his career, Alex didn't know what to do. The air in Al-Mahwa was thick with tension. The encounter with the armed group had left the villagers uneasy, but they carried on with their lives, their faith serving as their shield. For Alex, however, the situation had become unbearable. His mission, which once seemed straightforward, was now a tangled web of moral dilemmas and conflicting loyalties. The day after the confrontation, Alex received an encrypted message on his satellite phone. It was from Thomas Ridge, his CIA handler. "Alex, we need results. The higher-ups are losing patience. We need evidence, anything that ties this sheikh to terrorist networks. If you can't deliver, we'll send someone else to clean this up." The message made Alex's blood run cold. Clean this up was CIA code for using force. The village would become collateral damage. Alex typed a quick reply. "I need more time. The situation here is complex." He stared at the screen, knowing his plea wouldn't buy him much. How do I protect these people without exposing myself? That afternoon, Alex found Sheikh Yusuf teaching a group of young men in the mosque. He waited until the lesson ended before approaching the sheikh. "Sheikh, may I speak with you privately?" The sheikh nodded and led Alex to a quiet corner of the mosque. "What troubles you, Alex?" Alex hesitated, then asked, "Why don't you fight back? Those men, they'll come again, and they'll destroy everything if you don't stop them." The sheikh smiled faintly, his eyes filled with understanding. "Alex, do you know the story of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in Taif?" Alex shook his head. The Prophet was rejected and attacked by the people of Taif. Yet when the angel offered to destroy the city in retaliation, he refused. He prayed for their guidance instead. That is the way of Islam. We respond to hatred with patience and to violence with peace. Alex felt a lump in his throat. He had never heard Islam explained in such a way before. "But what if peace isn't enough?" he asked. "Then we rely on Allah," the sheikh replied. "We do what is right, even if it is difficult. The outcome is not in our hands." Determined to understand the full story, Alex decided to dig deeper into the village's history. He began interviewing the elders and exploring old records. What he found astonished him. Years ago, Al-Mahwa had been a thriving center of trade and culture, known for its hospitality and scholarship. However, as extremist groups gained power in the region, they began targeting the village for refusing to join their cause. The villagers had suffered raids, kidnappings, and even assassinations, yet they never wavered in their principles. Sheikh Yusuf had become their unshakable leader, guiding them through every hardship with wisdom and faith. The more Alex learned, the more he realized that the sheikh and his people were not just innocent, they were heroes standing against the tide of extremism. One evening, Alex was approached by a young man named Ibrahim, one of Sheikh Yusuf's students. "Mr. Alex, I know why you're here," Ibrahim said quietly, his eyes darting around to ensure no one was listening. Alex froze. "What do you mean? You're not just a journalist. You're here to investigate us, aren't you?" Alex's heart raced. If Ibrahim knew, did the others? Was his cover blown? "I don't know what you're talking about," Alex said, trying to sound casual. Ibrahim sighed. "It doesn't matter. I don't believe you mean us harm. But if you want the truth, come with me." Against his better judgment, Alex followed Ibrahim to a secluded part of the village. There, in a hidden room, Ibrahim revealed a stack of documents and photographs. "These are records of what we've been through," Ibrahim said. "Proof of the threats we face and our efforts to resist them. If you want to help us, take this to whoever sent you. Let them see the truth." Alex stared at the evidence, his mind racing. This is it, the proof I need. But will the CIA use it to protect the village, or as an excuse to interfere even more? That night, Alex sat alone in his room, staring at the documents. His CIA training told him to send everything back to headquarters, but his conscience whispered a different truth. These people weren't terrorists. They were victims of a world that refused to understand them. How could he betray them after seeing their courage and faith? Alex closed his laptop and buried his face in his hands. For the first time in years, he prayed, not to the agency, not to his own strength, but to something greater. God, if you're out there, show me what to do. The next morning, Alex made a decision. He approached Sheikh Yusuf and said, "Sheikh, I need to tell you something. I haven't been honest with you." The Sheikh regarded him calmly, as though he had known this moment would come. "Go on, Alex. I'm not a journalist. I'm a CIA agent sent here to investigate you. They think you're connected to terrorists. But after everything I've seen, I know they're wrong." Sheikh Yusuf nodded slowly. "And what will you do now?" Alex took a deep breath. "I want to help you, but to do that, I need to expose the real threat. The people who are trying to destroy this village. Will you trust me?" The Sheikh studied Alex for a moment, then smiled. "Alex, trust is not given lightly, but I believe that Allah brings people into our lives for a reason. If your heart is sincere, then yes, I will trust you." For the first time in his career, Alex felt a sense of purpose. He wasn't just following orders anymore. He was fighting for something real. The air in Al-Mahwa was growing heavier, not from the desert heat, but from the threat that loomed over the village. Sheikh Yusuf's trust in Alex was a gamble, and Alex knew it. The truth he had uncovered about the village's struggle had shifted his priorities completely, but his new path was fraught with danger, both for himself and the people he now felt compelled to protect. In the early hours of dawn, Alex met Ibrahim and Ahmed in a quiet corner of the mosque courtyard. The village was still asleep, save for a few roosters crowing in the distance. "Ibrahim," Alex began, "the documents you showed me, how did you get them?" Ibrahim hesitated but eventually answered, "We've been collecting evidence for years. Sheikh Yusuf wanted to show the world that not all Muslims are what the media paints us to be. We knew this day would come, so we prepared." Alex nodded. "We'll need more than just documents. If I'm going to convince my superiors that the extremists are the real threat, we need hard proof, something undeniable." Ahmed stepped forward. "There's a man in the city, about 2 hours from here. He used to work with the extremists but turned against them when he saw what they were doing. He might have what you need." Alex frowned. "Is he trustworthy?" Ahmed shrugged. "As trustworthy as a man in his position can be. But it's risky. They're watching him, and if they see us with him..." Alex took a deep breath. "We don't have a choice. Let's go." Ahmed borrowed a battered pickup truck for the journey, and the three of them set out just as the sun began to rise. The road was rough, winding through arid landscapes dotted with occasional patches of greenery. As they approached the outskirts of the city, Alex's instincts kicked in. He scanned the area, noting potential threats, unmarked vehicles, suspicious glances from passers-by. "Stay alert," Alex warned. "If these extremists are as organized as I think they are, they'll have eyes everywhere." Ahmed nodded grimly. "We're used to it." They arrived at a small, nondescript shop in the city's marketplace. Inside, an older man with a weathered face greeted them. "Ahmed," the man said, his voice low, "it's been a long time." "Too long, Adil," Ahmed replied. "We need your help." Adil glanced at Alex, his expression wary. "Who's he?" Ahmed hesitated, but Alex stepped forward. "I'm someone who wants to stop the people who've been threatening this village. That's all you need to know." Adil studied Alex for a moment, then nodded. "Follow me." Adil led them to a back room filled with stacks of papers, photographs, and old hard drives. "This is everything I've gathered over the year," Adil said. "Names, locations, bank transactions. These people are ruthless, but they're not as invisible as they think." Alex's eyes widened as he flipped through the files. It was a goldmine of information, clear evidence linking the extremist group to international arms dealers, corrupt officials, and even foreign governments. "This is exactly what we need," Alex said. "If I can get this back to my superiors, we can expose them." Adil's face darkened. "Be careful. These men have powerful friends. If they find out what you're doing, they'll come for you. And your village." Alex nodded. "I'll take that risk, but I need to move fast." As they prepared to leave, Ahmed noticed something unusual. A man across the street was lingering too long, his eyes darting toward the shop. "We've been spotted," Ahmed said quietly. Alex cursed under his breath. "We need to get out of here, now." They exited through the back of the shop and made their way to the pickup truck. But as they reached the vehicle, another car screeched to a halt in front of them. Armed men jumped out, shouting in Arabic. "Get down!" Alex yelled, pulling Ibrahim behind a stack of crates. A tense standoff ensued. The extremists barked orders, demanding they surrender. Alex's training kicked in, and he quickly assessed their numbers and positions. "We're outnumbered," Ahmed whispered. "What do we do?" Alex scanned the area and spotted an alleyway leading to another street. "We make a run for it. Stay low and follow me." Under the cover of a distraction created by Adil, who threw a pile of crates at the extremists, Alex, Ahmed, and Ibrahim bolted down the alley. Bullets whizzed past them, but they didn't stop. They reached another vehicle parked at the edge of the market, a beat-up sedan that Ahmed had spotted earlier. "Get in!" Alex shouted as he hotwired the car. The engine roared to life, and they sped off, leaving the armed men behind. Back in the safety of Al-Mahwa, Alex wasted no time. He secured the evidence Adil had given them in a hidden compartment of his laptop bag. "Sheikh Yusuf," Alex said, addressing the elder, "we have what we need. This is proof that the extremists are the real threat. But I have to leave the village to get this to the right people." The sheikh's face was calm but somber. "You've done much for us, Alex, but know that the path ahead will not be easy. These men will not rest until they silence anyone who opposes them." "I know," Alex replied, "but I can't stand by and do nothing. This isn't just about the village anymore. It's about the truth." Sheikh Yusuf placed a hand on Alex's shoulder. "May Allah guide and protect you, Alex. You are always welcome here, no matter what happens." For the first time, Alex felt a sense of belonging, a feeling he had never experienced in his years of service. As Alex prepared to leave Al-Mahwa, he sat alone in the guest house staring at his laptop. His heart was heavy with the weight of his choices. He opened a message draft addressed to his CIA handler. "I have evidence that clears the village of any wrongdoing and implicates the real perpetrators. I'm sending it now. Do not take any action against Al-Mahwa." Alex hesitated before hitting send. He knew this might mark him as a traitor in the agency's eyes, but for the first time in his life, he felt like he was doing the right thing.